Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna be talking about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 14 episode 8 and the first part of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion that aired this week. I'm actually gonna start with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills this week. We're still dealing with the fallout from Kyle reading that super intimate and suspicious text between her and PK last week. Bose is hosting a wellness themed party at her place, and before all of the women show up, she FaceTimes Dorit and just straight up tells her what Garcelle told her last night about Kyle's text message. And then separately in a car on the way over, Garcelle, Jennifer Tilly, and Sutton are also talking about the text. So very quickly, this all spread around. All of the women know about this text. And Bose's party is cute. She has a bunch of robes and slippers set out. She has an entire staff of extremely hot men. She has this entire group of hot male masseuses. I forgot what this company is called, like Man Hands or something like that. The women all go out to lay down and get their massages, and Garcelle is saying hi to like every single masseuse. She's seen them before. And you know what? If I was Garcelle, I would also want to be familiar with this team of masseuses. So good for her. Garcelle is literally laying down like this, ready to get her foot massage, eyes closed. She's so peaceful. And then right out of nowhere, she hears this agitating, grating voice. Dorit comes over and kneels down right next to her chair. Literally, moment of peace done. It's over. Dorit truly has this talent of pinpointing when is the worst time to speak with someone, and then she chooses that exact moment to initiate discourse. But it's a good conversation, so I'll give it to her. You know, Garcelle and Dorit have been beefing for years. Garcelle has just not liked Dorit. She doesn't think very highly of her. And Dorit just apologized for the way that she spoke to Garcelle in the Viper room, and also just like for their years of beef. Dorit just kind of said like, you know, I never said anything like directly because of what you said. It was all because of things that were going on internally, and they seem to have ended it in a good place. So it seems like that's been put to bed for now. But then Bose starts talking about what we're really here for, which is Kyle and the text. She confronts Kyle about the text. She straight up says like, you know, you never mentioned anything about this text to me, but it's weird because you were telling all the other women about it. And she asks Kyle straight up what was in the text, and Kyle tries to summarize it, and then Sutton kind of butts in and says, oh no, it was more than that. And then Kyle honestly just kind of has a meltdown. She does not like that Sutton interrupted her. She feels like she's on trial. She just, you know that I've been talking about Kyle for a while. I just don't think that she's in a really good place psychologically. I think what's going on with her and Mauricio and her life, and obviously what happened with her best friend a couple of years ago, I think all of that has really taken a toll on her, and I don't think she's successfully processed it at all. So she breaks down crying and she walks away. And honestly, like, if I were her, I mean, if I were her, I wouldn't be texting my friend's husband like that. But let's say in an alternate universe, if I was, just in general, when an entire group of people seem like they're against you and you seem like you're on an island, it's like, yeah, that's really overwhelming. Like, people can be mean. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like, a lot of times those middle school, high school dynamics still start to play out and you feel like you're a teenager again. You know what I mean? So like, she walks away crying. I get it. Erica follows her and tries to comfort her. Eventually, finally, Kyle reads the text out loud in front of Dorit, and I'm thinking, like, just as a viewer, I'm like, okay, maybe this can finally be put to bed, because to be honest, I'm kind of getting sick of it. And so if you remember, the text said, the way that the text to PK ended was she was like, I would never tell anybody the things that we've talked about.
It says he makes a joke in April. The next text is not till the day you guys got separated. I said, I know you have a lot of friends. I'm also one. If you need me, I've never repeated anything you shared with me. And wouldn't, meaning I don't mean about regarding you. I think that's what you're taking it as. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this. Okay, which I can't say because we were filming in production.
Pretty like ambiguous, pretty intimate. It suggests that they've talked about intimate things. And what Kyle says to Dorit is that what she meant was she wouldn't tell anyone in production the things that they've talked about. So she wouldn't bring her conversations with PK on TV, essentially. That's what she says. And no one's buying it. Bose, Garcelle, Sutton, everybody's like, if she meant production, she would have just said, I wouldn't tell production anything. And then in the confessional, personal, Kyle completely backtracks on her whole like, oh, it's only memes. All PK and I do is talk about memes. She completely backtracks on that. So it was a lie when she first said that. And she basically says, yeah, we've been friends for almost 10 years. Of course we talk about more personal things.
You know my character, and you have a brain. You know that over 10 years, it's not only a meme. We've talked about things in the past, about Lisa Vanderpump, the show, whatever it may be. My point was, I've never repeated any of those things we've discussed, and none of those things have ever been about Dorit.
PK doesn't pick up the phone to Kyle and discuss our issues. But after dinner with Mo, when Kyle and Mo used to live together, he'd go back to the house. I know he'd see Kyle, and I know all the conversations they used to have. Kyle would talk to him about her issue with me, and PK would talk to her about his issue with me. PK would tell me.
Dorit says that she knows that PK talks to Kyle about his and Dorit's relationship, and I guess Kyle talks to him about her and Mauricio's relationship. Super weird, super weird. That definitely suggests an intimate friendship. I cannot imagine, like, my best friend is married. I cannot imagine texting her husband and talking to him about my friendship with her. And like, if we ever had a fight or something, talking to her husband about a fight I'm having with her, that's really weird. That crosses like my personal boundary for sure. I would be really creeped out if I found out that like my friend was doing that with my boyfriend. I think Dorit is totally in the right to be uncomfortable about this. It's weird and it's uncomfortable. It's like, what do you mean like your close friend of 10 years is texting your husband intimate details about your relationship? It's weird. A lot of people disagree with me. I posted a short about this a couple days ago and a lot of people were like, no, it's not weird, they're friends. And I'm like, I mean, I guess everybody has different boundaries, but Dorit is clearly stating, she said multiple times, that she does think it's weird. I mean, it's like, what do you think? Like, if you found out that somebody who you've been friends with for years is texting your partner in that same kind of tone that Kyle was texting PK, would you be creeped out? I will say at this point, I do think the situation is between Kyle and Dorit. I don't think the other women really need to get involved. I think they're kind of dragging this out to be an even bigger mess. Really, it's between them two to talk about. Like, I think the other women are doing too much and they're making this too big of a thing. But obviously, like, that is such good tea and good drama. Like, if I was in a friend group where something like that was happening, I would also want to know about it. So can we also talk about how crazy it was to see Kyle and Mauricio get Portia a Porsche for her 16th birthday? Not because they got her a Porsche for her 16th birthday, whatever. Rich people are gonna do things that rich people do. But I literally remember when Portia was 3 years old. I literally remember catching up on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills years ago and seeing little 3-year-old Portia call all of the housewives like Camille and Lisa Vanderpump and invite them to her birthday party. And now she's like 16 getting a car. It's just like really weird. Good for her though. That is such like a rich girl LA thing. Like going to high school, you would literally have like some girls driving with their 16th birthday car and it's just like a used Camry that their parents got them. And then you would see some girls show up in like a red Mustang convertible. It's just like super, this is a weird city. Anyway, Sutton shows up at Garcelle's house in Oxnard and she starts talking about Kyle storming out when she confronted her about not summarizing the text to PK accurately. And Sutton basically goes, I think that Kyle thinks she's above the group. She says she thinks she's above this. And what I think she means by this is basically like filming. Like she thinks she's above like the Real Housewives. And I mean, Kyle does kind of say that indirectly. Like when she's leaving Bose's party, she's essentially saying like, how old are we? And we're still talking about this stuff. Like she is kind of over it. And it's something that we've seen for a really long time. Like I do think she's starting to think like, I am in my 50s. Why am I doing this? Why are we all doing this? This is so stupid. And I'm so glad that Sutton brought it up because I really hope that we're finally just gonna talk about it, because the Kyle that we're seeing now is definitely not the same Kyle that was filming a few years ago. And I do feel like we need to talk about it. She's the last OG left. Her entire life is coming apart right now. And like, I would kind of like to hear more about her relationship with the show. And then we just end with Erica and Dorit getting facials. And Erica basically says, even though she was defending Kyle, she was like, honestly, I do think the texts between Kyle and PK are suspicious, but that's my friend of 10 years. So I'm gonna stand by her. And honestly, it's not my business. I'm not gonna throw myself in the middle of it. kind of the best take out of everybody's take. Like, you know what? Yeah, that's your best friend. That's your ride or die of 10 years. It's like, sure, I would probably also stick by my friend in that situation, even though privately I would probably be like, dude, that's crazy. You need to stop texting that man. That's it for Beverly Hills. I have no clue where we're gonna be kind of starting off next week. I definitely think we're kind of heading into Sutton versus Kyle territory, which should be good. The first part of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion this week was also really good. We talked about a lot of really great stuff. The first thing that they addressed right up top was Whitney and the Alibaba jewelry. So, you know, the whole thing with Whitney and the Alibaba jewelry, essentially people were saying like these photos that are on Whitney's brand's website are the exact same photos of these identical pieces of jewelry from Alibaba. What Whitney says is that those photos were placeholders and they're not actually from Alibaba. They're just random placeholder photos that they put on the website because the woman or whoever does her website was busy and did not have time to shoot product photos. So when they actually did shoot product photos, they replaced them on the website with their own product photos. It is interesting that they talked about the photos being the same, but they didn't talk about the jewelry looking the same, because that was the whole thing, is like it's still the same pieces of jewelry. Whitney says that they aren't, but I mean, it seems like everybody's okay with this excuse for now. I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I don't really care. I feel like drop shipping is so prevalent. Like, I'm not super invested into like, is Whitney's jewelry from Alibaba or not? I think mostly because I feel like any like Housewives brand, I'm not expecting it to be good quality right off the bat, sorry. But really the whole meat of the reunion kind of had to do with like Bronwyn and then also a little bit of like Lisa and Angie's relationship. The $4 million necklace that Bronwyn tried on is brought up. Bronwyn says like, oh, I thought about wearing it to the reunion, but I didn't. Lisa out of nowhere butts in and says that she's friends with the jeweler, and the jeweler just texted Lisa out of nowhere and said that Bronwyn and Todd didn't buy any jewelry that day. And then they like, Angie and Bronwyn and I think like Whitney, that whole couch calls Lisa out. They're like, what, you texted the jeweler and you asked? And Lisa was like, no, I didn't even reach out to her. She texted me. So Bronwyn's claim is that she tried on that $4 million necklace, but what she and Todd ended up doing was buying like a smaller version of that necklace along with a pair of earrings and then maybe like a ring. And that whole couch doesn't believe Lisa because they're like, why would a jeweler do that and jeopardize her business by talking about her clients that way? That's so unprofessional. I would never buy from a jeweler like that. And I agree, of course. And then Lisa eventually shows the thread to Andy. She shows the whole thread, and apparently what the jeweler texted her was like, why, I guess the jeweler was watching the show and she was like, why does Bronwyn keep saying she bought the necklace? She never bought the necklace. What the jeweler told Lisa was that Bronwyn, I guess, borrowed the necklace or took the necklace and the earrings and said that she and Todd were gonna wire her, but then they didn't after like a couple weeks, and they messaged her and they were like, oh, Todd doesn't like the jewelry, we're not gonna buy it. Here's the thing, when you're watching any kind of reality show and somebody, even somebody who's super rich like Bronwyn, is wearing all of this like, not even just designer, but like fashion directly from the runway and like $1 million jewelry and things like that, typically 9 times out of 10, that stuff is rented. Like if you watch Dubai Bling especially, all of the stuff those people are wearing is most likely rented, or the brand sent it to them and said, hey, here it is, you can wear this on TV, and then after you're done filming, send it back. A lot of influencers do that too. Like a lot of influencers who you see like posting vlogs and stuff, and they're holding these expensive Dior bags. Dior sent them the bag, said, hey, post a video with this bag, and then after a certain amount of months you send it back. So in this type of argument, I'm inclined to believe Lisa, because I'm like, yeah, like there's just no shot that Bronwyn and Todd bought this $4 million necklace or however many $millions millions it cost, just because typically people aren't really doing that. But I do sort of agree that it is weird that the jeweler would text Lisa that stuff, especially somebody who's like, if you're dealing in $4 million necklaces, you're at the top of your game, all of your clientele is like made up of millionaires. It feels weird to me that she would jeopardize her business in that way by gossiping about her clients. Although if Lisa is friends with the jeweler, although no, because Lisa says that she hasn't spoken to that jeweler in like years, so the jeweler just like randomly texted her. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both. I definitely don't believe that Bronwyn and Todd spent millions of dollars on jewelry that day, but I think maybe what happened is Lisa texted the jeweler and asked, or like had somebody else text her and ask. You know what I mean? I just don't think the jeweler out of nowhere texted this acquaintance of hers who she doesn't really speak to that often to talk about like, why does Bronwyn keep saying she bought the necklace, she didn't buy the necklace? You know what I mean? We also find out that Lisa recommended most of the housewives to the show, which I just thought was interesting. She recommended Heather, she recommended Angie, she recommended, I think, like most of the other women, even the ones who aren't on the show anymore. Do you remember Jenny? And then Lisa and Bronwyn's friendship is finally talked about a bit, and Bronwyn acknowledges something that I think the other housewives and also just like the viewers have been talking about for a while. She essentially says that she put Lisa on a pedestal throughout the entire season and prioritized fixing their relationship over developing friendships with the other women. So it's good that she acknowledged that, because I think that's definitely true, and Whitney says that she also noticed that. It's interesting because I feel like Whitney is really out to get Lisa this season, and I couldn't really figure out why, like, but Whitney, it was just non-stop attacking Lisa this season. And I feel like after finding out that Lisa recommended most of the housewives to the show and seeing the way that Bronwyn put her on a pedestal, you just kind of get the sense that like in this community, Lisa really must be the queen bee. I mean, if everybody like values her friendship this much or like wants to take her down this badly, she's clearly like the one to take down. Oh, and this sucked. Somebody wrote in, you know how you can write in and Andy will ask questions. One of the viewers wrote in and said that Heather was giving mean girl energy this season, and it was probably because she got skinny. Ew. Guys, don't do that. I hate it when people do that. Don't like write in, like these people on reality TV, it's like, I get it, like these are some of the worst people on earth. A lot of them are just like really mean, awful, out of touch people. They're still human beings. They're not characters on a TV show. You can't be writing in talking about their weight like that. Ew, what's wrong with you? And a comment like that is definitely also giving self-hating. It's giving like jealousy, you know what I mean? Because Heather looks great. She admits that she's on Ozempic. She's like, yeah, whatever, I went on Ozempic. I think she said she lost like 75 pounds or something. And somebody writing in and be like, oh, you seem like you're giving mean girl energy and it's probably because you got skinny. It's giving jealousy. Sorry, it's giving jealousy. And then also, not to mention, Heather has literally been in the background this whole season. Heather has been like basically giving nothing all season. She hasn't really fought with anyone. She hasn't really been doing anything. She's like basically last in that, like in the little intro when she's holding the snowflakes. She's like all the way to the left. She's been in the background this whole time. What do you mean she's giving mean girl energy? So I just didn't like that. Don't make stupid comments like that. If you need to like say something like that, keep it to your journal. That's what that's for. Okay, so then we get into Bronwyn talking about Gwen. I feel like this is it's like I almost don't want to talk about this too much because it feels so icky. It's like we're talking about a teenage girl and her dad. But basically what happened was Lisa went on an after show. This whole situation was kind of confusing. I had to like rewatch this. Lisa went on the Salt Lake City after show. She basically revealed that she just coincidentally found out that she knows Bronwyn's baby daddy because she knows Bronwyn's baby daddy's parents. She knows Gwen's grandparents. And I think this was a complete coincidence. And I think what happened was Lisa was like speaking with the grandparents. She was at their house or whatever. And she's the one who told them about Gwen. And they said that they didn't know anything about Gwen. And they said that they would love to meet her. They were just very shocked. And then I guess what the grandparents said was they they were under the assumption Bronwyn had a miscarriage. So they knew that their son got her pregnant. Their son has now passed. They were under the assumption that Bronwyn had a miscarriage, and that's why they didn't know about Gwen. And then Bronwyn says that Lisa went on the after show. I did not watch this after show. So Bronwyn says that Lisa went on the after show and basically accused her of faking a miscarriage to hide Gwen from the grandparents. It's a really dark situation. It's why I don't want to talk about it too much. It has to do with a teenage girl. So I don't want to get too into it. But like, I mean, yeah, if I had to put money on it, it's like a super religious community. I'm pretty sure Bronwyn is Mormon. I'm pretty sure this guy who is now passed away was Mormon. You know, you have a grandchild that you're embarrassed by. You don't want to acknowledge her because you're super religious. Your Mormon community won't accept it. Like, do I believe that Gwen's grandparents didn't know about her? For me, no. But it's like, I just don't want to get too much. It just doesn't feel good to like theorize about it that much. But like at the end of the day, I personally don't believe that Gwen's grandparents didn't know about her, but not to any fault of Bronwyn. I think it just definitely has to do with their son and whatever he told them. Because also, I think Bronwyn says that after her ex died, his wife found out about Gwen, I think maybe through her grandparents, and called Bronwyn. And I think the conversation did not go well. So it's like, can you blame Bronwyn for wanting to not talk about those people and like wanting to keep her daughter's business off of TV? That's like, it's sad. It's just really sad. And I think that Bronwyn, like, say what you want about her. I know she's really polarizing. Some people like her, some people hate her. I do like that whenever people ask her about this, they're like, honestly, she's like, honestly, Gwen is 18 now. She can do whatever she wants to do. All I can do is give her advice, but she can do whatever she wants to do. It's like, what more can you do in that situation? And they go to lunch after that conversation, I think, and Heather kind of brings up that Bronwyn always talks like a politician. And I'm like, I don't know, like, maybe a little bit Bronwyn kind of does that, but I just really think that at the end of the day, Bronwyn is a really smart, articulate woman, and that's something that maybe like Lisa is not. So it's like, yeah, if you're comparing the way that Bronwyn speaks to maybe like a Lisa or a Whitney, it's like, yeah, Bronwyn is probably gonna come across like a little politician-y, but I feel like I just chalk it up to her being very well-spoken and just her being like very private and protective, because there's a lot of like dark things that have gone on in her and her daughter's personal lives. And then after they get back from lunch, the husbands are here. I love that the husbands are there, and they just start the conversation. Todd gets into it with Lisa's husband, and he's just very upset that Lisa brought up Gwen's dad on the after show because he's known Gwen for 10 years. So he obviously is like a father figure to her. And he and Lisa's husband get into it a little bit, but then the reunion's over. I can't wait to get into it with the husbands in the next episode. I always love when the husbands show up. I want to see Todd and Lisa's husband get into it a little bit. And I also want to talk about Seth leaving that couples trip early and just him traveling all the time. I've always been so suspicious of that. But yeah, that's it for this week. Look out, in a couple days, I'm going to be posting my recap of the last 2 episodes of The Traitors US, episodes 4 and 5 of season 3. And then you can see me back here next week for a recap of the next episodes of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and Salt Lake City. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.